All right, let's talk about one of the most misunderstood qualities a person can have: resilience. We usually think of it as this thing you're just born with, something that only really kicks in when things get tough. But what if that's totally backward? What if resilience isn't a personality trait at all, but a sequence of choices you can actually learn? Okay, let's get into it.
So get this. This is the big idea from our source, and man, it just flies in the face of everything we're normally told, right? We think pressure makes diamonds, that we find our strength when we're in the fire. But the argument here is that by the time that fire starts, it's way too late to start learning.
And that's the big question, isn't it? If you don't build it in those huge, challenging moments, then where on earth does this strength actually come from?
Turns out you learn it in the quiet, totally boring, everyday moments. It's a foundation you're laying, brick by brick, way before any storm shows up. It's not about one single heroic act, but 100 tiny, disciplined choices you make when nobody's even looking.
So let's start digging into this blueprint. The first piece of the puzzle is all about building that personal foundation, and it starts with a battle that, well, it seems almost ridiculously small.
Yep, you heard that right. The road to handling total chaos apparently starts with making your bed. See, in SEALs training, that morning inspection wasn't really about keeping things tidy. It was about forcing some certainty onto a world that gives you none. It was the very first act of control in a day that was literally designed to strip every ounce of control away from you.
And the psychology behind this is it's huge. The act itself is simple, sure, but the effect? It's not. Starting your day with one task already done, one small, clean win, it gives you this little bit of momentum to tackle the next thing, and then the next. It's like a tiny shot of discipline and order right into the heart of a chaotic day.
And this comparison just nails the point perfectly. I mean, on one side, you've got Admiral McRaven. His body was broken, he's paralyzed, but he could still find this one small piece of the world he had command over. And on the other side, Saddam Hussein, whose messy bed was really just a tiny symbol of an authority that had already crumbled from the inside out. See, the small things are never just small things.
Okay, so you've got your own house in order. You're making your bed. Awesome. But that's just the beginning. Because nobody gets through the biggest challenges in life alone. And that brings us to the power of a team.
So in these brutal exercises with small rubber boats, you've got 7 guys paddling through these massive 10-foot waves. The ocean couldn't care less who the strongest guy in the boat is. It only cares who's perfectly in sync. One person's bad paddle stroke, and everybody feels it. The lesson is crystal clear. Survival is a team sport. It's all about alignment, not just being the loudest or the strongest.
And get this, there was this one boat crew they called the Munchkins. Seriously, not a single guy in that boat was over 5'5". On paper, they should have been crushed, but they consistently beat crews full of bigger, stronger guys. It just proved it, right then and there. Heart carries the load, not height. It's resolve, not your reputation, that gets you to the finish line.
Okay, so you've got your personal footing, and you get how important an aligned team is. Now the blueprint moves outward. It starts to look at how you deal with the world when it decides to push back. And believe me, it often does it unfairly.
I want you to picture this. You follow every single rule. Your uniform is absolutely perfect. Your execution, flawless. You have done everything you were asked to do, and you've done it right. In SEAL training, hitting this level of excellence was often met with a particular result.
And your reward? You got turned into a sugar cookie. You'd get ordered into the freezing cold ocean and then forced to roll around in the sand until you were covered head to toe. For no good reason. The only point was to teach your brutal lesson. Life isn't always fair. Sometimes you can do everything right and still get knocked down.
And here's the really tough lesson from that. Feeling like a victim in that moment, it feels completely justified. I mean, it is, but it also gets you nowhere. The source talks about Mookie Martin, a SEAL who was paralyzed in an accident. He refused to let that injustice become who he was. The point isn't about being cruel. It's about being a realist. You have to accept that unfairness exists, but you can't ever surrender to it.
And once you can accept that, you can start to turn that punishment into something that actually helps you. Take the circus. This was hours of extra conditioning, these grueling exercises designed specifically to break a trainee's spirit after they failed a task. It was supposed to be the end of the road for them.
But then, a funny thing started to happen. The guys who spent the most time at the circus, the ones who were failing the most, they actually became the strongest swimmers in the class. The failure itself wasn't what defined them. It was their response to the failure. What was designed as a breaking point accidentally became a training accelerator.
Okay, so now we get to the final part of the blueprint. This is for the darkest moments. You know, when your foundation is shaking and the outside world just feels like it's crushing you. This is about finding that deepest internal resolve.
Try to put yourself in this situation for a second. You're underwater, in total pitch black darkness. You're completely disoriented, and your job is to find the bottom of a ship. This exercise teaches you one thing: how to risk wisely. When you can't see a thing, the biggest gamble isn't moving forward, it's panicking. Being calm is the only compass you have.
But sometimes, you need more than just being calm. This is about how you stand your ground when every single instinct in your body is screaming at you to give up. During Hell Week, trainees are freezing in the mud, right on the edge of quitting. And then a single voice starts singing. He's standing his ground, not with muscles, with hope. And it turns out hope is contagious. Then another guy joins in, and another. And all of a sudden, the cold doesn't seem quite so absolute. And this brings us to the final choice, the bell. Ring it 3 times, and all the pain, the cold, the exhaustion, it all just stops, instantly. But that relief comes with a permanent price tag, regret. It is the ultimate symbol of giving up, not just on the training, but on yourself.
So let's bring this all home. This isn't just a collection of cool stories. It's a sequence. It's a deliberate set of choices that, really, anyone can make.
And here it is, the whole blueprint. You start small, make your bed to prove you have some control. Then you learn to paddle together as one. You measure heart, not height. You accept that life can be unfair, and you use your failures to get stronger. You learn to risk wisely, to stand your ground, to be steady when you can't see the path forward. You sing when hope is almost gone, and you never, ever ring that bell. This is the quiet math of resilience.
And that really brings us to the core of it all. Forget this idea that some people are just born tough. Resilience is a skill. It's the grand total of all those small choices you make day in and day out. Choices that build a foundation so incredibly strong that you only really see it when a crisis comes along and tries to tear it all down.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Just forget about the giant, overwhelming challenges for a second. Based on everything we just talked about, what is the one small, controllable, maybe even trivial thing you can do tomorrow morning to start your own sequence of resolve? What win are you going to give yourself to start the day?